I feel really strong about our founding fathers and many of their beliefs. They didn't say anything about allowing a private banking cartel to create money from nothing. Our Congress decides that they want to go to Iraq. This is important. If you're familiar with world markets and monetary markets, you'll understand that the dollar has been tanking. Welcome back. My name's Daniel, and this is The Real Story. Tonight we're going to air part 2 of an interview I had with Mr. Ed Brown. Once again, someone I thought was a good individual that maybe we should see, because I guess the media wasn't wanting to give us enough of Ed Brown, or at least something other than snippets. So maybe you'll get a real understanding of what Mr. Brown is and what Mr. Brown stands for, and that sometimes there are men out there who will stand for things. Thank you once again. Sit down and enjoy an interview with Mr. Ed Brown. Once again, this is part 2. Thank you.
Leadership
Guidance.
is guidance. Leadership responsibility is massive. When you take on the responsibility of becoming a leader to anything, your family is the nucleus, which is the easiest one. The responsibilities are from everything from A to Z, from the time you get up in the morning and go to bed at night, and everything else to do with all members of your family. That's a huge responsibility. And guess whose responsibility it really is?
I always keep me.
It's the man.
Oh, I know.
Okay? It's the man's. The man's responsibility is to take charge of that family nucleus. Why do you think they've been trying to destroy the family nucleus so much for the last 40 years or so? And they're doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And they have emasculated men since the 60s. Big time. They sue them, they take them to court, they throw them in prison.
Well, and they portray them constantly as moron. I mean,
that's
yeah.
correct. Okay,
You know,
and the
Hollywood's
women are
been pumping
smarter
it.
and so on. Well, overall, I believe women are smarter because, well, we're so busy talking and thinking about women and thinking about our sports and our, our job and talking about that. Women will talk about anything. Your commitment, your contract to your family, to your community is so powerful that nothing can take you from it. That's honor. That's what we're talking about with honor. But leadership comes out of all of this. It isn't easy. It's very hard. Anybody who wishes to be a leader of something is a fool to begin with. Most people that take these positions, oh, I'll do it, I'll do it. Believe me, that's the one you don't want. Okay? You want a leader who really doesn't want to do it and is trying to get away from it, but if you know they're wise, or well, it could be a woman too.
And they're a good one.
Oh, yeah, you better believe it. And so if you choose your leaders wisely and well, we can't get that in a president.
We haven't been very successful doing it for a
Because
while.
it's been rigged. It's been rigged since '79 that we know of for a fact. So we haven't had a lawful election since at least '79, if not even before that. So here we sit in a situation on the threshold of a new age. For true. I didn't do it. But something happened, especially something happened on the 23rd of January, and I would mark the date. We're not sure what that was, but the 23rd of January of this year, after I took my position, something... Don't know it. Maybe it'll come up. Just remember the date.
I like that, the 23rd of January.
The 23rd, something happened the 23rd of January at 10:41 p.m.
Ooh, timing, too.
Yes. And it just,
PM.
a whole bunch of us, something just locked in on a conference call, and just a bunch of boom, boom, strange things just started happening. I don't believe in mystical stuff or things like that. I'm just not into that. But I was on my knees that night at about 2 or 3 minutes later, my knees buckled right off from under me. I'm on the floor, and the tears were pouring out of my eyes. And not from sadness.
Giving thanks?
I don't know. I have no idea, and I still don't know. It's a combination of things. So I just want you to remember that date, because I think you're going to hear it again.
23rd, 10:41?
10:41.
PM.
PM, yep. So, what else would you like to know?
I just want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you taking the time today. You know,
So,
it's good to see you. I look forward to seeing you again at some point. Camera, no camera,
We're here. We're here to make sure that these people don't destroy our nation. We're here to really sure that they don't do it. So I'm a setup. They don't want to come in here, believe me. They don't want to come in here.
I wouldn't think so either, because the other thing too is that I want to say the whole, how do things multiply? Not logarithmic, but as more people become aware, it's harder to keep down the truth. It's harder to keep down the truth. It's harder to keep down the truth.
The truth is absolute, which cannot be changed or denied. You could try to change the truth, but you can't. We stay on the center of the path, center of the road. I'm one with the Creator. That's where my courage comes from. Creator's in here. Okay? If Creator's in here, then what can they do to me?
Yeah.
What can anyone do to me? Am I a religious man? Not at all. I think religion is one of the most horrible things that ever happened to mankind. I am a very strong, very powerful spiritual man. My law is the 10 Commandments. My first law. Why? Because out of all the laws we've studied, and believe me, we've studied virtually just about all of them worldwide throughout the history of mankind, that was the only set of laws that works for everybody in the world. And no other laws can supersede those laws. My second set of laws will be the 10 articles, 10 amendments to the Constitution.
Now, do you give Paine a lot of credit for that, Thomas Paine?
Sure.
I hear stuff that he really, did the push, did the drive, say, hey, this should be added. The Constitution, he says, is good, but not without this. It has to have this. Drove it home type thing.
He did. He did. And he did drive it home. And these were simple things. They weren't complex things. Remember, the law back in those days, in 1700s and before, all laws had to be written, and today they're still supposed to be, so that the average man or woman could understand them. If they're convoluted, they're not law.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you can now give yourself a raise starting this year of 1/3 of all the monies that you make a year, because you do not have to pay those taxes to the federal government. Fact of law. Right out of their own books. So there's nothing to be afraid of.
It's a beautiful thing.
You just don't have to pay them anymore. I'm telling you, absolutely true. They know that. They're terrified that people are going to start realizing this to be the truth.
It's funny, I aired for my viewers, just recently too, in the past two weeks or whatever, was Aaron Russo's Freedom to Fascism, which was a nice piece.
Everybody,
if they could learn and wake up.
Everybody must see that Aaron Russo video. He's selling them for 50 cents a piece, for God's sakes.
He's authorized people to make copies and not even
get
sell
them out
it.
there.
Yeah.
Everybody in this country, 300 million copies need to be out there. Everybody needs to see them. It's so wonderful. There's so much to do and so much to learn and to know. It's like, it's endless. How can people be bored? How can they sit there and watch stupid television set with so much to do?
It's funny what comes with age, though, is, I'm not that old, I'm like 47, but still, the older I get, the more I want to know. The more I'm willing to spend the time to investigate, to learn, to research.
There's another part of the class, another class unto itself. We teach everybody that formal education is a vertical line. One, birth to death, okay? Formal education. You're sitting in a classroom type structure, or mommy's teaching you as a little baby, do this, okay? Okay. And then life experience is learned this way, as you walk around the planet, on a horizontal plane. So as you grow, you're born, you start to, mommy's giving you some formal education, so it's like a flower. It starts to go wider, 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 okay? You keep on going. Then all of a sudden you hit the 9th grade and you quit. Boom. Now you can only learn this way from life experience, no more formal education. Well, I did exactly that. The 9th grade, I quit school, went back. So when I went back, a couple of years later, then I started growing out again up here. So I was getting a little more life experience than most people, because I wasn't getting any formal education. That's how it goes. Quit again. Grow again. Some people just do it right from the beginning, just keep going, so that it's always this way here. Just a nice straight cone. You must always maintain a formal education. Education, not education. Education. I hate it. And most people say that, especially teachers. Education. Education. They put a J in there instead of, they can't even say the word properly, and they're educators. It's just irritating. Just one of those little things.
I'm with you. Hey, sometimes it's little noises. But I get you.
But that formal education, if as long as you maintain that, you just keep growing until the day you die. It's wonderful. That's why some people, when they get very, very old, and people go to them. They say, "Oh, you know some of these things. Could you please, you know?" The old Methuselah lady, there always seems to be a woman better than a guy. An old lady who sits up as a hermitress or whatever she is, up by herself in the woods and that sort of thing. But she knows everything. Why? She spent her entire life researching and learning everything. As a lot of people do, but not as much today. I guarantee anybody here in this room, if they do that for the rest of their lives, I guarantee them they will just keep on blossoming and growing for the rest of their lives. And your life will be far fuller and better.
Yeah.
So now we've got young people coming in, starting to learn this stuff. They want to learn it because they're not getting it in the schools. So we're talking about starting to hold classes here. These are teenage kids, you know, some in their 20s. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, but so you get before you get too cluttered up, we got to clean it out. Don't think about anything, and we'll start from scratch with them, you know, and go. But different stuff. But philosophy.
I'm with you.
Philosophy, that's wonderful. Philosophy is a psychology and what's the other one? Psychology and...
I'm not that good at, hang on, hang on.
Philosophy is love. Oh, that came first. Philosophy came first, out of Greek and so on. Okay, psychology came later. But philosophy is this philo, love of thought, love of mind, okay? Love of thinking. And that's what it's all about. We'll sit here and we can talk for hours like this. And any subject matter at all. Guys mostly know, women, yeah. Women will sit there and talk to you all day long.
People used to talk a lot. When I say used to talk a lot more, you know, you go back to the, not just the founding fathers and stuff, but people where they would actually meet, have meetings, talk, and, you know, years ago anyway, it wasn't bad to talk religion or politics.
No,
nowadays,
it's great.
Well, I know, but nowadays when you go and you visit, I just think, you know, different family or situations, and like, well, whatever you do, don't mention religion. Whatever you do, don't mention politics. You know, it's like the last things they want to do. When before, I actually think education changed a lot too. In that, you know, what was a high school education in the 40s and the 30s and the 20s was probably equivalent to what a college education is now. Only because the whole mindset of how people thought, how they were trained to think, okay, what they were taught. Anyway, that's me. I wasn't around in the 40s, so I can't.
I have a test for 8th grade upstairs that I will bet you today you couldn't find a high school student, or probably first year college student, couldn't pass this test.
Getting a 70 or better. No, I don't want to try it anyway. I always like a challenge.
I couldn't pass it, and I really studied a lot of stuff. And this is really, they were taught. And this is late 1800s.
I was going to say, just listening to, you know, once again, my elders and stuff, and what they learned and when they learned it by, whole different mindset. But I mean, you know, you see things change. Sometimes I try to tell people when I see things change, I say, well, like a pendulum, it never really stops at the null. It's like you got to go hard over one way before the people wake up, and they drive it back, and they don't drive it back to, you know, to a null point. Go ahead.
The pendulum has swung full swing. We really believe that now, and it's on its way back. All right, but as it swung full swing, and they've had their way in the world, these people, as it's coming back, now they see that it's starting to come back. They know that their time is running out, but it's also running out for either side, because now something has to pop here. This stand here began to put a split in the critical mass bubble. The second night we went on the blog, there were 1,110,000, give or take, okay, hit that blog. Oops, I guess we hit a nerve someplace. So it's beyond us now. It's not up to us anymore. We just keep doing what we're doing here. So just because one couple said no, people are looking for the leadership, and we're going to give it to them. And we're going to do it wisely and well, though. And hopefully nobody gets hurt, but I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
There's going to be rooftop politics. There's going to be all kinds of hell happening.
It's funny because they've been slowly enslaving the American populace.
That's all.
And the Americans, when I say the Americans, the people, they're either so tied up and busy in what they're doing, they don't see it.
I have no time for those people. I
You know,
sympathize.
they've been brought to an indebtedness level, not just as a people, but also as a nation, okay? Whether it's your local, government, people spending more than they have, and you can only do that for so long.
That's insanity.
Anyone with basic math, skills realize that, you can only float the boat so long by getting another loan and floating the boat and getting another loan and floating the boat.
Why would anyone do that? Why would you even borrow money to begin with?
Because people right now have been taught that, borrowing is good.
That's,
it's funny.
Well,
Years ago,
come on. Slow down. Look. Here. They've been taught. Well, I was taught too. Many people were taught to, but we don't do it. Now, it's either laziness or an easy ride or a free way out.
Exactly. It's the easy thing.
Then I have no sympathy for those people.
Well, see, that's a funny thing you say that, because I looked at stuff and I said to myself, just in trying to wake people up and trying to make people aware. Now, hang on. My concern was, even before doing the show, is, are the people worth my efforts in doing so? That's where you run into it, and that's where it comes, and you turn around and you say,
now we get to it. Now we get to where you really need to be. Okay? See, you almost walked away from it. Now you're getting to the crux of the problem. And what are you supposed to really do? What truly is your responsibility?
You're supposed to take care of your clan, your people and stuff, and you're supposed to do the right thing.
But what does the Father say?
He said a lot. I think of mine.
What question you ask? You know what the question is. That was kind of not fair to you. All I'm obligated to do is to show them, explain it, tell them once. If they wish to keep on the path of destruction, I have nothing to do with me. If they want to stay fearful, they want to stay lost or stupid or that's entirely up to them. I can show you the way, the right way. Remember, my wife is a master herbalist as well. She's one of the few dentists in the entire country that gets all the metal out of the mouth, and using her master herbalist training back into her dentistry to help holistically, and she saved a lot of lives by doing that. Because you got to clean all that metal and mercury and stuff out of your mouth, which is poisoning the body and causing all kinds of hell inside the body. And she was doing that for years. They hated her for that. The industry did it large because it was working. So instead of talking about the problem, let's get to the cause, which we've already gotten to. We know who's causing it. We know what's causing it. We have the cures in hand. Let's resolve the problem. And that's not just in health. That's also in education. That's in political. That's in industrial. Sociologically, we have the answers. Do I have the answers? No. But the people I affiliate with, associate with, have the answers? Yes. They specialize in this one, this one, this one. You do what you do, he does what he does, you do what you do, we get the best of the best, we come together, we have the answers for everything that we need to do. We can be the best of what we can be as a society. But we got these people keep interfering and trying to smash this and keep us divided. We don't allow that. Religion is another good example. Division. There were 5 or 6 different religions when King James made the Bible and put the Bible together to try to centralize Christianity. What ended up happening now? We got over 1,500 different Christian religions.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, yeah.
So that didn't work, did it? No more division. I'm not going to be divided from
way back. Divide and conquer goes way back.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be divided from my Muslim brother, from my Buddhist brother, or Hindu, or any other religion. Okay?
You know what always got me was when they started to, as you say, with division and stuff, where they started to divide people up by religion, and then treating the religions like they were racist or something.
That's what they did.
When they broke the people up from we're all part of the human race.
Who are they?
To where?
Who are they?
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. Who are they?
Who are they? I told you who they were.
And so saying they, do you mean the state? Now,
No.
it's funny. I
No.
wanted to
Would
leave
you see
with
what
the
you've
movie.
done? Would you see what you've done? You've already lost it. I told you who they were. And they've been the same people for the last 2,000 or 3,000 years or longer.
Illuminati, pronounced correctly.
Mm-hmm. Look it on your computer. Read the history. You'll know who your enemy is. You'll know who the enemy of all the people of the world is. Why do you think they're trying to do me in? There's no crime here with the IRS. There's no charges. It was totally sham, totally fabricated. Look at your dictionary for structuring. That was the main crime, structuring. It doesn't exist in the Webster's dictionary. They created the word, made it a crime, so that innocent people will now be charged with something that doesn't exist.
I find that they create so many laws that just by me exhaling right now, I've probably broken one.
So how do you stop it?
Give me some time to think about it. I'm working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've stopped it for me right now. And they're stopped. They're effectively stopped, aren't they?
They're stopped
I walked
here.
out of the courtroom, didn't I? Because I saw the sham court here. Walked right out of the courtroom. I didn't go back. So they found me guilty in the absentia. Guilty of what? I ignored them. There's only two ways they can have authority or jurisdiction over you. One is the way you accept it, and two is by force of power. Through force of power, they grabbed me, took me down, grabbed me and put me in handcuffs and shackles, took me down to the police station, had me totally stripped naked, faced the stone wall inside this holding cell, bend over, spread the cheeks of my buttocks in front of a camera. What was that all about? That's a $5 million lawsuit. They didn't plan on me to live through this thing, to be able to do this sort of thing. They want this. They don't want the lawsuits. I mean, a whole bunch of these people in our administration are going to get sued for this. The police department, state police, had a sniper up on the hill with 3 observers, and with 20 other miscellaneous federal agencies and 2 town cops, just to download a computer. That must have been one nasty computer. They're terrified. So if one of us, 2 of us, my wife and myself, can cause all this mayhem in their midst, can you imagine what 100 of us can do? 1,000?
I was going to say 4, 6,
How about
8, 12.
one in every state? One individual, one man or woman in each state does exactly what we're doing right here. And just says, no. We will take and surround these people with people like we are here. You only see what you see here.
It's not so much a thing that, gee, the government's bad.
No,
but as he said, the Illuminati,
you got to
if a
get out of that.
criminal...
It's not the government. You got to stop saying
That's what I was going to say. It's not a government thing, and it's not every person that's in the government. It's if a criminal element takes over.
He's missing me.
Go ahead.
Who's the government?
Should be me.
It is you, not
Okay.
should be, is in fact. Every time you say the government, you keep referring to the capital, and the state of the capital in Washington, D.C. They are the public servants. We, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish this.
Well, this is good. Now, let me start. Criminal elements have become our servants.
Criminal
At some
element
points.
within
There
our
are criminal,
government.
right, are portraying themselves as our servants, but are positioning themselves to be our masters. That disturbed me.
Correct.
It motivated me enough to try to get in front of a lens and try to talk.
Why would I take orders from my public servants, elected?
I'm with you. Hey, it bothered the heck out of me.
Don't cut it off. And here's an MC, okay, host. Let the thought go through and then cut back into it. Too many talk show hosts always come in. Now, the worst ones you get is 2 guys, hot dog, like musical hosts on a train. They do an interview with somebody, and when they try to bang you back and forth between the 2 of them, they make you look bad or whatever. That doesn't work with people like me, because we're from Boston. And we can out-talk anybody. Okay, like Howie Carr tried to do it to me that night. You heard the show.
No, I didn't.
It's too bad. You should try to see if you can
Maybe it's got
download it.
archives, yeah.
Yeah, and look at it. Listen to it, because it didn't work at all. We almost destroyed him on that show.
But you were helping me. You said, Mr. MC, something besides a tire. You said a tire is a big thing.
Huge. Always let your guest finish the thought without going, because someone will just talk you to death and learn to cut it off subtly. But let them finish their thought. Don't speed up. Don't talk too fast, because your audience is going to miss it. They forget everything in 15 seconds anyway, but if you talk fast, they're going to forget everything. So place your words. Now, I'm going to tell you, go back, talk to your brother. Slow is faster. You want to get your point out? Get it out. You want to hurt me? The law tells me I have every right to kill you. You heard me, I'll kill you. They're going to hear that slow one. I'm going to change my pitch in my presentation on that slow one. And they're going to hear absolutely clear that the law tells me, orders me almost, to kill anyone who attempts to kill me. But if I just said it out too fast, it's going to go over. He'll kill him. That's all they're going to hear. We need to get the message out, so they need to hear it, the whole message. And remember, whatever ends is what they're going to remember over everything else that you had talked about that day. The last thing you say. So the last thing we say, in this case here, is, show me the law, and I'll pay the tax.
Thank you is the last word I'll say.
Thank you.
Appreciate
for
it.
you. Absolutely.
That was Mr. Ed Brown. And as you can tell, Ed seemed like just a regular guy who, for some reason, he started asking questions. Why are things the way they are? What happened to the rule of law? Why can't an individual be free? You know, I'll ask you, my viewers, I mean, I don't know if we asked Ed and, you know, whether you remember it, but, you know, my question to you out there, if any of you are employed, whether you're employed, you know, digging ditches or as a neurosurgeon, is your labor your personal property? Do you own, is that something that you own? Is that yours? And the reason I ask this is because, think about it, if you're conditioned to the point where you think someone else owns part of your labor, then why don't they own more of it? Let's say you say, well, gee, I'm willing to give 30% of my labor to the state. Well, what if the state needs 35 or 40 or 50? What happened to the individual? I'm asking you out there in the audience, do you own your labor? Is it your personal property? That's the way it was in this country for more than 100 years. And now, all of a sudden, everything's changed. Rather an interesting thought, something to take with you as we leave this evening, and that is your labor, or the labor of your husband, of your wife, your children, your parents, is their labor their property? Or does someone else have the rights to it, whether it's a percentage of it or all of it? Something for us to think about. Because once again, here we are in a nation, okay, that's a republic. And I hope you out there realize that. We are not a democracy. If you were to read the Constitution, or possibly the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, it doesn't say democracy in it in any of the pages. We're a constitutional republic. And you know what? In a constitutional republic, we have rights. And even though 99% of the people, or the polls, say that we should take that person's labor, we should take all their labor, part of their labor, we should make them a slave. We shouldn't and can't do that. The government was never empowered to do it. So I want you to go home and think. You know, look at your husband, look at your wife and say, hon, I understand you're working. Is your labor yours? Is it your personal property? And then tell me the definition of what is a slave. Is a slave someone who owns their labor? Is their labor their personal property? What have we allowed to happen? How far have we been misled or led astray? When will we wake up and care about the future generations? More so than Anna Nicole's body and whether or not it should be cryogenically freezed and we should fight over the assets of her dead estate. So, there you have it. This was The Real Story, and I look forward to just going over all the wonderful things that the regular media doesn't show you. Another thought to take home tonight, and that is when you do turn on the boob tube or the television, okay, I'd like you to consider that 95% of the media that's made available to you all comes and is controlled by 6 corporations. Just 6. The entire United States. All the media. 95% of it. Here in Sharon, anyway, we have Cable 8, which allows for people like myself to be an alternative media. And I'm doing it for you, and hopefully you're going to enjoy it. Thank you again.